I used to joke, I said,
Good morning, this is the New York City Board of, Mike's on? Mm-hmm. Good morning, this is the New York City Board of Standards and Appeals Public Review Session for August 22nd, 2016. We'll begin the special order calendar. Decision items, item number 1, 18909BZ, 3067 Richmond Terrace, Staten Island.
Okay, we have the fire department sign off on condition. They did provide photos of the striping for 50 cars, which indicates valet parking is required. I think that has to be a condition to approval. There's also no key to the photos, so I can't tell where the parking is located or how many spaces there are really. It wasn't really a complete submission there. There's no plan A1A that's referred to on drawing A1 for the parking layout. So again, we don't really know what the parking is. And we asked that the parking plan also refer to the easement agreement for lot 20 at the last hearing. And we asked that the architect certify that the proposed changes comply with ADA, egress, public assembly, and Appendix G requirements, and we didn't get that. The fire department's conditions was on installation of the smoke and CO detectors in all public places. So I'm not sure that we're ready to vote on this. We may need to reopen. Anybody else?
We're in the first case.
No? Okay.
Continued hearing items, number 2, 63654BZ, 9612 Seaview Avenue, Brooklyn.
Okay, they provided photos of the installed landscaping, which it turns out not to have been what I thought we would get given the drawings. I guess that has to do with us not being landscape experts.
They were kind of small.
Yeah, they put little ones in and a few taller ones, and I guess we have to be more specific each time we ask for specifications. So it's a mix of 6-foot and 2-foot plants, and so I guess we just need to learn. I looked up what a Hicks hue grows to. Some of them grow to 6-foot, 8-foot height and a 2 to 3 foot spread. All I can say is, we approved the plan. That was what we agreed to do. So all I can hope is that it fills out, and we just have to be patient with the little ones.
And make sure they maintain them.
Yeah, right. And so with that, I think they've done everything we asked them to do, and so there would just be a bunch of conditions for approval, which we've talked about many times. If their premises is kept clean of debris and graffiti, that all lighting's pointed away from the residents, no parking on the sidewalks, no outdoor signage, storage, that all signs shall be maintained in accordance with the approved plans, that a new C of O be obtained within 1 year from the date of this amended resolution, and that the landscaping be maintained. Okay?
I just want to, I think the signage plan that's been shown, there is a sign on the window of the gas station, and I think if that, either that should be removed or that should be included in the signage calculation.
Okay. But in the interest of not having them resubmit drawings, the signage has to comply with the C1
Yes, I agree.
regs, which I think they did show. So we'll just make a note that
Yeah.
not all signage.
Yeah.
Well, I just said to be maintained in accordance with the BSA approved plans.
Okay.
So that would be that.
Okay.
So that means that sign goes or they submit plans right away that includes that sign. Okay.
Item number 3, 37471BZ, 20511 Northern Boulevard, Queens.
We still don't have the community board recommendation. The plan submission, I thought, is a good start. The parking spaces are numbered in the front area along Clearview, and there are car profiles dashed in on Northern Boulevard, They show the existing 3-foot-high retractable bollards spaced at 8 feet on center that sit right in front of each car. There's no indication of fencing. There is, it indicates fencing and planting, but there's no details, doesn't tell you what kind of fencing. There is a detail for the bollard. I think the plans need further detail, including that the parking area for display should be striped so we know how many spaces there really are. There's an open area that needs to be kept clear for access and egress that should be indicated in real life on the, like some kind of a hatching so that no cars park there, because otherwise you're obstructing egress. The landscaping plan should be detailed, showing all the landscaping inside of the property line. A lot of it was outside. I love the way everybody just assumes, you know, the city will take care of their landscaping requirements. The planting must run along all of the residential property lines, including the one that's perpendicular to Clearview. And the shrubbery must be densely planted to grow a minimum of 8 feet high with no spaces in between. I keep trying to, like, how do we describe it so we don't spec the planting? Provide specs on the plant type, spacing, spread, and height. With respect to the disturbance to neighbors from the accessory lot, there is at present a 4-foot chain link fence with slatting that sits on a 2-foot concrete base. This is apparently inadequate to shield against noise and fumes, which is what at least one neighbor complained of. I'm thinking the applicant should install a taller, say even 10-foot high acoustical barrier that might actually cure the problem. I did check the building code, and you are allowed to have much higher fences when it's associated with a commercial use. So 6 feet is not our maximum. And I just wondered if others are okay with the use of the accessory parking lot on Clearview for the, what they call the late show customers coming for pickup. I thought then it's not really an employee and guest parking lot. It's actually becomes sort of a showroom. So that means, you know, they'll bring cars there and say, why don't you try this one out for size?
That's not what they say.
They're not going to do
They say
that.
it's just for pickup, so that's after you purchase a car.
Right.
They bring your car to the lot, and then they basically show you how it works.
Right, but showing you how it works is the same.
Not
Is-
quite. It's usually
Usually
very
takes like
quick. You
10
sign all your
minutes.
papers, they put the license plates on, they come in, turn the ignition, and these are the defoggers, and this is where your rear wipers are, and, you know, and then off you go. It's already purchased, so it's not like you're shopping back there. You're just going in to pick up your.
But so are you like revving the engine to see how it sounds? You're not
No,
doing
at
any of
that
that?
point, you don't want to because you own it, so you don't want to do anything to mess up what you now
Sign the
own.
paper over.
You're not sort of trying it out. It's-
Okay.
They're just telling you how to operate the lights and
Okay.
all that.
So everybody's okay with that?
Well, I was there the other day since we had so many cases on Northern Boulevard, and they did have a number, I would say at least 6 cars in that rear parking lot without any plates, and a number of people working on them, you know, in terms of getting them ready for pickup. And they had cars also parked on the sidewalk, so I think that part of the problem might be that if they have too many cars in the lot, then they're parking on the sidewalk.
How do we get them to stop parking on the sidewalk?
I don't know.
Bollards on the sidewalk. Spikes. Because obviously this is a problem, and here they are in hearing where we're doing
Yes.
site visits, and still they're parking on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
So we know they're going to do that in the future.
And it's right outside that parking lot.
They need
Right.
more space. If they have more cars that they need to prep for people who are picking them up, if they have, you know, a dozen people picking them up, then they need to provide a secure area for that to happen where it's not going to be obnoxious.
Well, where is it? Because they already have that accessory parking space that you said was being used, and then there's not enough room. And so it seems to me it's true that something like a DOT intervention where they put something on the curb that prevents cars from going up the curb. I mean, I don't know what else to do.
I don't know how you could prevent them, quite honestly.
And
You
it
know,
depends on how many cars
because
they have to prep in any
there's
particular time.
2 curb cuts, they could just go up on the curb cut and
And
drive
drive
on the
cars
sidewalk.
along parallel with the road. Wow.
Shouldn't they come to us and say, you know, if we have an overabundance of cars, this is how we plan to, you know, to take care of that? I don't know if we can think it through for them, it's their operation. So if they have more than they can handle, they need to tell us how that works.
Right, both. So they do have more than, obviously have more than they can handle. There's a little accessory parking lot.
Which
and
is
then
in the
there's-
residential.
Which is in the residential portion, which
Okay.
shouldn't be used to conduct business. And there's the display front. And everything's going on way off-site in terms of inventory and prep, right? So, other than, you know, making sure that there are severe fines that are handed out by DOT, I'm not really sure. Or having them install something on the sidewalk, like chains, something like that. where
Or they could have a
go through.
pickup area in the front of the building. You know, maybe they don't have it completely filled with cars for show.
But then they would be maneuvering on and off of Northern Boulevard, and that's just really crowded. It's just
Yeah.
way too many cars going back and forth on Northern.
Well, except that they're also supposed to be having all the test drivers go onto Northern Boulevard, not go onto the side street, right? So you're supposed to be driving right off from that display lot directly onto Northern Boulevard. So that's already happening, supposedly.
Well, I think maybe, you know, we get an affidavit that they're not going to do this. They put up, I think the 10-foot acoustical wall is a good idea. And I still had some concerns regarding the HVAC. At the front of the building, it's behind a parapet wall, but I don't believe the parapet goes to the rear. And it's just this big clunky unit, which I think is very visible from the residential properties. If they could give us some photos from the rear, just, they didn't really respond to the possibility of screening
Right.
that HVAC.
Okay, so we need to see a proposal for screening the HVAC system, and we need to see some kind of proposal for how to not under, you know, we could revoke the approval if neighbors complain about sidewalk parking. I mean, that is,
Well, they shouldn't be prepping a car on the sidewalk.
they shouldn't be doing anything on the sidewalk. The sidewalk is for driving up on, from the curb cut, and that's it, right? They shouldn't even be parking there for 2 minutes while they collect
No.
their stuff inside, right? So, either that or they have to find another lot where they do this. Okay. Okay.
Item number 4, 30208BZ, 4368 Herman Avenue, the Bronx.
Okay, wait a second. So they improved the findings, I thought, in their statement, and which were a little bit lacking. They rounded them out, and they provided plans to show the infeasible 11-foot wide by 49-foot long building that would be permitted as of right, so I didn't have any other, okay?
I'm okay with that, yeah.
Item number 5, 5795A through 5995A, Central Park West, Manhattan.
They asked to adjourn this till the end of September.
New cases, item number 6, 24055BZ, 207-22 Northern Boulevard, Queens.
We're becoming Northern Boulevard specialists. Everything's happening within walking distance of each other in all these applications. As was pointed out by the applicant in the statement of facts, the proposed change in use from use group 16 auto repair to use group 9 auto sales would have been permitted as of right if the use group 16 use had been an existing non-conforming condition. So it's going to a less noxious use according to the zoning resolution. The main issue is that in the proposed, access to the accessory parking will now be on 45th Road in front of residences in the R district. And having learned from the application we just discussed, this This is where the cars have been ready for pickup, or will be brought for pickup, and from where patrons will take their cars out for a test drive. The community board expressed concerns about this as well, so management of this really needs to be considered carefully by the applicant, and not just assume that that's the way they can do it. It all should be going to Northern Boulevard, not to the side road. On the other lots, the main or sole point of entry to the parking appears to be from Northern Boulevard. It seems like that should be the case here, except for employee and customer parking. Otherwise, all ready cars and test drives should exit from Northern. And I could see what that would mean is they'd have to have some kind of a lane inside of the building where they drive slowly through the inside of the building out to Northern Boulevard. It's a little tricky to manage, but manageable. They're already doing it. You know, it's not a strictly display interior.
There seems to be a Volkswagen dealership a few doors down, and I think this is also going to be a Volkswagen dealership.
Yeah.
So the question is, are those operations going to be interrelated? And can we, if they are, shift any of those kind of, you know, in and out types of operations to the other site? Because I believe the other site might actually have access from Northern.
Yeah, and when I visited the site, it advertised parking a few doors down, and they seemed to share a parking lot with the Volkswagen dealer. And when I went around to 45th Road, actually right now it's a Volvo used car place. That gate was locked, and there was a car parked there. It didn't look like they were using it currently at all. So I was hoping that, just like you said, they actually exit from Northern Boulevard. That would seem preferable.
Okay, anybody else? Item number 7, 71682BZ, 20930 Northern Boulevard, Queens. I'm sorry, were you ready? No, it's okay. One second. Okay, this one. The statement of fact states that there are 61 accessory spaces, but the approved plan shows 73. The photos show fencing. The fencing is bent in some areas. Also, there's an area at the back. It's too dark to see in the photographs whether there's planting in the planting bed along 45th. I didn't.
Mostly dead.
Yeah, mostly dead.
Over
Dead
50% dead.
Lacking water, I think.
And also, there's this 2-foot 6-inch area behind the planting bed along 45th Road. I'd like to know what that is. There's like a jog in the perimeter. And they should indicate on the plans the type of shrub, number, and spacing, with a goal of having it be really a border that's a screen, and so it's a dense planting, not a decorative little bits of things planting. And the applicant has made some changes to the parking layout to respond to the community board concerns by moving the handicap spaces closer to the exit and installing a new no left turn sign at the egress. So I thought that was good that they were responsive. Anybody else?
Well, I have concerns with the fencing along Northern Boulevard. It's, first of all, as you pointed out, it's rusted, and it also has a barbed wire kind of above, which is so not consistent with what's along that frontage, and I think it could be improved upon with the kind of fencing
If
that
it's
is more...
rusted, it should be replaced and the barbed wire removed.
Yeah, because there's
Right.
barbed wire around the
Around the whole
entire.
thing.
Yeah.
All of it should be removed.
All of it
I don't
should
think
be
it's
removed.
necessary, especially since you're not supposed to be using the parking lot after hours.
Right,
So what are you
Yeah.
protecting?
exactly. I'm just curious as to why there is a reduction in the parking spaces that's being proposed. And the fence also on 45th, also sections of it is a little bit bent.
I'm not sure they're reducing the parking.
Well, the approved plan was 73 and now it's 61,
No, I think
unless I'm mistaken.
they were showing 73. I think they're not showing 61 spaces on the drawings. It's a statement of facts that says 61, I think.
I think the
I'm not sure.
drawing,
So they should just verify.
yeah,
Yeah.
I thought the drawing also showed 61, but I just wanted to,
Yeah. Because this is only an extension of term, it's not supposed to be a modification.
actually, the drawing also shows reduction, 61 total parking spaces.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm just curious as to why.
Well, more than curious, it was approved at 77, this isn't filed as an amendment. Right, so,
But it's been operating then as a 61 for a while.
so what's going,
It's actually a pretty busy
yeah.
site.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
And as you pointed out, there's that jog along the edge, which it seems that the fence also jogs along, so it's probably not part of the property, but the plan shows the way the lot line boundaries are drawn. It seems that that little section is within the property line, so I think something needs to be
Yeah,
corrected.
it's because that's just at the street, you wouldn't have that little piece belonging
No,
to
this is
somebody else.
along the adjacent property line to the east.
Oh, I thought it's on the
Property line with lot 42.
Lot 42.
Yeah, oh,
The way it's shown on the plan, it seems it's part of the, unless I'm misreading this plan?
There should be
No, it shows
landscaping
us as a
along that
property
No,
line.
it's on the property.
On,
isn't it
it's
on
showing as a
45th
property
Road?
line, but the fence jogs in.
Yeah,
And,
There should be landscaping along that property line, because it's a residential,
along,
lot,
right.
right, adjacent, so there should be some screening. And I don't think that there was, I didn't really see anything.
Right.
and the planting that's there in the rear, I mean, these are very tall trees, so
Yeah.
they've kind of grown, but along the ground level, it's very bare, so it
Right,
would be
so we
nice if
need fill-in shrubs.
some,
Okay.
yeah.
That don't grow so high. That's the problem when you spec plants for the wrong purposes.
This high.
Because one would, you be specking shade planting versus border planting. Okay. Okay. Item number 8, 81885 BZ, 119 Christopher Street, Manhattan. Okay, we have a letter of no objection and a certificate of no effect from the Landmarks Commission. I didn't have any issues with the reinstatement of the term. The storefronts on either side of the entry condition are typical of 19th century tenement buildings of this type. And in fact, the building was built with this configuration, so I don't have a problem with the elimination of the term of years either.
I'm fine.
Right, I don't have any problem with the elimination of the term. I think they should note on the plans that the signage will be 8.5 square feet, which is what was previously approved, I believe. And then if they could just respond, they have a number of hazardous violations, which are like issued in July.
Okay.
And some of them sound very serious.
Also, what, work without a permit?
Yeah, was there a work without a permit?
Oh, there's some hazardous electrical work. What were some of the other ones? I don't recall all
But
of them.
Is it to that particular side of the storefront?
A lot of them, I think 3 of them have to do with the gas supply, that it was unpermitted work, uninspected work.
That's familiar.
Yeah. So I think DOB takes them very seriously.
No. So
That's
the
for the
difference
building.
with this is not a retail applicant, this is the landlord applying to allow the use, right? So that's a situation where you can use this approval as leverage to take care of things. However, having had direct experience with the issue about gas work, it takes months to cure that, so I'd say many months.
As long as
Yeah.
they're addressing it, because
Right.
some of these, they had some in, I think, March, and then they were issued additional, I think, 3 violations in July. So, what are they doing?
Okay.
Just a couple of numbers, inconsistencies in the floor area, the commercial floor area as indicated in the zoning chart and in the statement of fact. It need to be consolidated.
Okay.
Item number 9, 10993BZ, 18911 Northern Boulevard, Queens.
Okay, we have a strong letter of opposition from Community Board 11, but I'm not sure if they understood this is a proposal to extend the previously approved use, the term for which expired only 2 years ago as of now, but longer ago as of the date of the application. Since the building is vacant, I'm wondering if it's proposed to rent the upper floors still for residential use, consistent with the C of O, or if there's another proposal. It's a very odd site, really surrounded by commercial.
Used cars,
Yeah.
lots.
It's very strange.
Yeah. The 1993 approval makes reference to a parking lot across the street at 190-02 Northern Boulevard with 50 spaces. I'd like to know whether that's still available for use for this use group 6 use, and whether that lot continues to have excess capacity, which was one of the things that was discussed in the board's resolution. The 93 approval requires that a wood fence be replaced with an aluminum fence, but the photos of the rear still seem to show a wood fence. The fencing should be replaced with chain link and opaquing slats, especially where it backs up against the residential property at the rear where it's open and isn't opaque. And then dense shrubs should also be provided back there in the in-ground planting beds. I do see that the prior restaurant operator really landscaped the place up. It was part of the theme of the restaurant, I guess, from the front. So it is heavily landscaped. But there should be a landscaping plan going forward that shows the number and types of shrubbery and spacing. Anybody else?
Well, the community board had some recommendations, sort of limiting, I guess, the time for deliveries and that sort of thing. No outdoor seating or music.
Yeah, okay.
So I don't know if we want to consider that, but we should probably inquire as to exactly what we.
I mean, it doesn't sound like they have a tenant. It's just they.
Only if it was going
extension.
to be another restaurant or something.
Yeah.
Right, they had a violation in 2010 for illegal conversion in the basement and for putting the structure up in the rear yard
Right.
as a cafe. And then they blame it on the former tenant, but their lease only started in 2011. So, I feel that this is really the owner's responsibility.
I think the reason they showed us that lease was to show us that it was a continuous use from that time period. So they may have had a prior lease.
Yeah, I don't
Right,
think
that's-
it
oh,
was
with that particular
initiated in
tenant?
2011, it was I think it was a continuation.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's the only reason they gave us those leases is for the continuous use.
Yeah, it wasn't clear to me whether they had removed those structures in the rear.
Right. It says that they will. Don't know
Right,
that
but they should
have.
really do that. I don't see what the problem is doing it now.
Okay. Right, I agree.
And I was wondering how they handle the trash.
Well, that's what the community board had asked, that the trash be picked up between certain hours.
You're talking about storage of trash on site or
Yeah.
on pickup?
Well, there's residential and then there's commercial. So, I'm just wondering how do they handle that? It's an interesting frontage. I mean, the frontage actually looks kind of nice
Yeah.
with the fencing and the shrubs, but it's not very accessible.
They have to bring it out through the front.
They have to, yeah.
Even the commercial trash, I guess.
Yeah, no, I don't think there's any other way.
Anything else? Okay.
Item number 10, 6594BZ, 14402 Jewel Avenue, Queens.
I think we're missing page 3 of the statement of facts, where the pagination changed between versions or something. There seems to be a disconnect between the 1996 approval and the C of O, like a big disconnect. The 1998 the 1998 C of O shows all the uses are use group 6 and none are use group 4. Which the approval was for use group 4 with use group 6 on the upper floor. In addition, the approval states that retail use was eliminated from the proposal, yet retail use appears on the C of O. I don't understand how this happened. The 1997 Schedule A, which is the culprit, incorrectly showed this information. None of this is correct, and the C of O needs to be revised to match the approval, because that's a big extension on use type. The plans show shrubbery along Main, but the site is shabby without cared for planting. You should provide landscaping plans that specify the dense shrubbery showing plant type, spacing, and sizes. Provide a better storage area for the medical boxes. This is like the bane of, medical offices everywhere. You can be on the most elegant thoroughfare, and then there are all these nasty medical boxes that sit outside with, frankly, it's got medical waste, and other scary things. And in this location, it really is an imposition. They really need to create some official place to put that. Signage is also really haphazard and unsightly. They should provide a signage board where all the doctors put their names in the way that you're used to seeing a medical facility. And there should be signage drawings in advance of that. Anybody else?
There were also changes to the original plan. They show handicap toilets on the original plan, but it wasn't clear to me that the toilets that they're showing currently are handicapped accessible. They're kind of small. So if they can speak to that, that would be great.
Did they detail their hours of operation?
I don't know.
I didn't see it.
I don't know.
I don't think
They should do that.
And also they now have access to the roof of the terrace, and that was not in the original plan. There was no access to that, first story terrace above the old garage. Now there is. So did they use that in any way?
Sorry, Commissioner Otley Brown, what was your comment?
About the hours of
Oh,
operation.
hours of operation. Okay.
No, I had a question. Only, it seems, a portion of the property is ADA accessible. The rest of the building is not. It's only the portion on Jewel Avenue to the
Yes.
right, and that's acceptable. A question is what I have.
The general rule, especially with the doctor's office, is it has to be accessible, but you can, as long as you can service the patients on one of the levels.
Okay.
It's super common to find doctor's offices on multi-levels that don't have elevators, but that the entry level is accessible, and then the exam room for that disabled patient is on the entry level.
Okay.
Appeals calendar, decision items, item number 11, 16314A through 16513A, Canal Street, Manhattan. We're adjourning this to November 1st. Submission date is 10/11.
November 1st or November 16th?
I have the 1st.
Huh. All right, whatever. I wrote the 16th. I don't know. All right.
Oh, that's based on the letter
Okay.
received.
All right. First is fine. Submit when?
October 11th?
Yeah, okay.
Okay. They made some submissions today.
Okay, maybe that was my typo. Okay.
Item number 12, 16515A, 137 West 86th Street, Manhattan. We received revised plans showing the loft spaces uninhabitable.
Right.
lower levels.
Yes.
Hold on one second.
So we've gotten the okay from LPC on this one, but you asked me to follow up with LPC.
Yeah.
And we've been playing phone tag with council, but
Okay.
they've indicated they're okay. I'll speak with council again today, but I think
Okay.
that this is fine for purposes of the LPC.
Okay.
They're still reaching out to, still communication with OPC, okay?
Right.
She didn't hear what you had to say.
They couldn't hear.
Your mic was-
Yeah, sorry.
You guys, right?
The issue was that the question about whether the CNE was properly issued because it makes specific reference to that it's not available if there was a grandfathered rear yard extension. Because there is a grandfathered rear yard extension, I want to make sure that LPC was aware of that. They may not have thought of it as an extension, they may have thought of it as the existing building, I don't know. So, okay.
Item number 13, I'm sorry, may I move on? Item number 13, 2016-1218A, 97 Store Avenue, Staten Island.
Okay,
Received signed and sealed plans.
yeah, we did get the signed and sealed plans. Okay, I think that was it.
Okay. Continued hearing items, item number 14, 238-15A through 243-15A, Duncan Court, Queens, adjournment.
Yeah, they need time to prepare the restrictive deck, so you should make a note that, then you get in touch with them to get this going, because that should have been done already.
New cases, item number 15, 2016-4155A through 4162A. This is Montana Court, Staten Island.
It should clarify the note on the drawing that it should say all buildings shall be sprinklered in accordance with the New York City Fire Code. It had a more general note that sounded like they'll sprinkler what they sprinkler. So it should be all buildings. We do have a conditional sign off from the fire department that says, in terms of the drawings, please clearly label the proposed hydrant's fire hydrant and provide the total length of the hammerhead turnaround. Currently, one must add up all of the lots separately in order to check for compliance with Fire Code Section 503.2.9. But other than that, I didn't have any comments. Anybody else? No.
Zoning calendar, decision items, item number 16, 269-14BZ, 8944 Metropolitan Avenue, Queens.
Okay, the space 14 was removed, and the plans revised to reflect that, as we discussed. I just want council and the project manager to be aware that when they did that, they only submitted 2 pages of an 8-page submission. They submitted that on July 25th, so those 2 pages have to be swapped out with the 6/29 submission. Normally this doesn't happen, but I want to hold it up because of that. Fire department is okay with the submission. Anything else? Okay.
Item number 7, 9215BZ, 170 Buffalo Avenue, Brooklyn.
The perimeter landscaping and access to the 3rd floor roof terrace were added as requested, so I don't think we had any other issues.
Item number 18, 15615BZ, 18-20 East 50th Street, Manhattan.
I don't know if there was a submission this morning.
No.
No, not yet.
No. So we asked that the statement of facts be cleaned up to reflect the actual location and conditions, and nothing was submitted. And we gave them a very short time to do it because they told us last week that they'd have it the next day. So I don't understand that. And
Project manager said he reached out by email.
he
this
did,
morning, too.
but last week also. And so now I don't know what to say. We accommodated, and now I don't know that we're going to be able to accommodate as well, given the schedule. Okay.
Item number 19, 24715BZ, 135 Plymouth Street, Brooklyn.
They asked to defer this pending fire department inspection.
Item number 20, 2016-1210BZ, 2590 Hylan Boulevard, Staten Island.
And they provided a revised objection, so I think we're good now.
Item number 21, 2016-4135BZ, 70 Pine Street, Manhattan.
They provided the certificate of no effect, a plan showing egress and ADA access route, a fire department approved fire alarm plan and DOB sprinkler inspection reports from 2015. We don't have proof of the fire alarm inspection, but we do have a letter from an engineering firm that says the system has been installed, so with a nod from fire department, I think we'd be done if they're okay with it.
Continued hearing items, item number 2211-15BC, 155 Dover Street, Brooklyn.
Okay. Community board, let me see, sorry, I'm in the wrong place. Not the community board, that was a while ago. All right. The flood elevations and the building elevations were clarified. It's now clear that the height of the finished first floor is being increased by adding to it to reach the 11-foot base flood elevation. But otherwise, all the floor levels remain at the existing elevations with a 1-foot increase in roof height only to the roof peak. We do have some concerns that there's an elevator bulkhead that is penetrating the sky exposure plane, which is not a permitted obstruction in this zoning district. And for people who aren't used to working in the zoning district, maybe they're assuming it's always a permitted obstruction, but it isn't. And then there's this thing that's labeled a parapet wall that wraps around the roof that penetrates the sky exposure plane. That's a DOB call, whether that's really a parapet, because it's supposed to be, well, it's not a defined term in the zoning resolution, so I don't know how DOB interprets that. We're also aware that the Manhattan Beach Community Group is concerned about the fact that the building is not being elevated and is claiming that it's not a substantial improvement. So we've actually reached out to DOB. Yeah, they have a specialist who will take a look at this and make sure that the substantial improvement analysis is consistent with DOB's interpretation. Anything else?
Just that when they say that their base plane is the curb elevation, they're actually using the street wall elevation, and they'd just be better off just saying base plane on all those plans, sections and elevations.
Okay. For DOB, they would have to show them where the base plane is taken from.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
Item number 23, 23615BZ, 1677 George Street, Queens. This is being adjourned to
Yeah.
September 27th. Item number 24, 2016-4132BZ, 513, 51519 West 26th Street, Manhattan, the Avenue School.
I really appreciate how responsive they were to the board's concerns about mixing children with the office use. In response, they have a plan that isolates access to the 4th floor by the students by using stair A to the east, with use of the elevator lobby only for special needs students and faculty, and with an elevator stop to the 4th floor that'll be controlled by an access key. Those students who go in the elevator will be accompanied by an adult to the classroom floor, and cameras will be installed in stair A. Motion detectors and door alarms will be installed on the 4th floor, and the alarms will be installed at all the emergency exit doors that lead into stair A. As requested also, there's a crossing guard will be added to escort students across West 26th Street, and they also have guards at these other points, which is really good. So I'm much less concerned about the welfare of kids who are really isolated from the rest of the school activities. They also have proximity card readers, which will be installed at the entrance to the stair A from the street and at the 4th floor elevator vestibule. I assume, and I just need verification, that those proximity card readers will just will release the lock on that door, and that all the students will have those cards. And to clarify, the access to the 4th floor via elevator is controlled by the lobby guard who has a key to unlock that floor. Otherwise, office tenants will be able to enter the elevator and continue to their floors, subject to whatever security the landlord has provided for the building. I'd like them to just clarify that this isn't going to interfere with the office occupants. It's not that everybody has to show ID and in a way that's more stringent than what's normally done for the office tenants. Also, I'd like them to clarify whether the elevator will be shared with others when it's going to the 4th floor, or whether it's a devoted elevator when it's filling to the 4th floor. And if it's shared, then how will the guards prevent strangers from getting off with other invited and authorized guests? Like, I'm coming to visit something, how do they know that the person who's next to me is with me? Right?
Aren't they going to be riding the elevator? I think there
The
has
guards
a
will, but-
dedicated guard who rides the elevator with
But,
the students.
so then
and
then the
guests.
person, the strangers who board, not the student, but the stranger who board, I'm not even talking about the students who are in the elevator, I'm talking about people who come to visit, who are in the elevator, who aren't faculty, aren't known to the guard. How do they make sure that someone who really shouldn't be entering the 4th floor doesn't enter the 4th
I
floor?
thought the statement said that visitors would have to get a pass from the building across, and that has to be...
Is that how it's going to, that's a good idea. Is that how it's going to work? I don't think-
That's
okay.
kind of, that's how I read it.
Okay,
That they'll
that's a
have
good
some
idea. I don't know if you read it, okay.
I just had a question concerning the Stair A access, and I'm presuming that it's unalarmed during the school day, because otherwise it would continue to go on and off.
Okay.
So I'm just querying whether that runs afoul of fire code in any way, and if there's, if they can just speak to that. But I think it's fine, but it probably gets turned on after hours.
So in terms of the alarm, I think there's a motion detector that's above the 4th floor. And the whole idea is if somebody's coming down from an upper floor, that it would be triggered, because, right?
But I'm not talking about security, I'm talking about the fire alarm aspect. So your doors are going to be alarmed, right? Come through means that there's some sort of an emergency, and you get down the stairs and the alarm goes off.
But
so do they turn that, they
That's
have
off,
to turn
yeah.
that off?
Right.
So I guess my question is that does it get activated after hours so that it operates like it should?
But that's typical, that you have a re-entry at this floor type door that doesn't trigger an alarm. I think the reason actually that you have an alarm on the no re-entry floors is to alert security that someone's entered into the stairwell and they're not supposed to be there because there's no fire emergency.
Right.
So,
All right.
I think, yeah.
I just kind of went through the security protocol, and it does say that visitors will have to secure a pass from the building.
From the main building?
From the main building.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I read that as securing a pass from the guard in the lobby, that's why, like, how would he know? No. Okay, good.
And then they did do the Phase 1.
Right.
I think they should, they did amend their EAS, but their EAS is still silent on whether they found any recognized environmental conditions. So that is actually a positive, yes, they did. And that should be listed in their EAS. And then they addressed each of the Phase 1 issues that were raised. So regarding asbestos, they gave actually did do testing, which came out negative. Regarding the lead paint and PCBs, the consultant says that it's most likely during the extensive renovation that anything that was there was taken care of. I think they should just say that it was, just a positive, not most likely that it was. That there's no possibility of lead-based paint or PCBs still being there. And then they did give us a VOC investigation report using a photoionization detector, which I think could have been a little bit more involved and in-depth.
The VOC, in what way?
Well, you look at a noise report, at least, they give you the date, the weather, the time
in
of
other words,
day.
backup.
This is the instrument we used, just recalibrated it, an actual
I thought they provided the
scientific
backup
report.
material.
Not really. They did it regarding noise, but not regarding the PID report. It's giving a map of the cellar, this is where we looked. A map of the fourth floor, this is where we looked, and what the actual readings were, if anything. Because I've used these instruments before, and if you open up a magic marker in their presence, they will go off the charts. They're very sensitive, but they have to be used properly, so.
Okay. All right. Anybody else?
New cases, item number 1, 2016-4164BZ, 1744 East 29th Street, Brooklyn.
Okay. We have an objection from a neighbor regarding the side yard and front yard incursion. The statement of facts makes reference to 2 calendar numbers in '03, but didn't provide plans for them. But the rear yards are not mentioned in the resolutions, and I assume the issue is there that those are within 100 feet of a corner, so no rear yard was required in the R32 at the time. I don't really see the relevance because this is a mid-block site, nearly 400 feet away from that one. The adjacent rear yards the immediately adjacent rear yards are complying at 36, 35, and 33 feet. One house down at the rear does have a 25-foot rear yard, and 2 houses down on the same side of the block has a 26-foot rear yard. Further down the block, on the same side, there are also 24, 22, 21, 24, and even a 17-foot rear yard, which is obviously illegal. But the study doesn't give information on the heights of those deeper structures, so you can't tell whether that's a 1-story extension or 2 stories. So there are also garages in most of the rear yards. So I think to establish the second floor depth, you need more information on the heights of those deeper structures. For the FAR study, there's 3 houses, lots 70, 71, and 77, that are labeled at 1 FAR, but when you look at the aerial photo, they look exactly like the other houses, and there's no filings for those houses on BIS. So I don't see how those are 1.1 FAR. Just a question, I'm curious, is the roof being raised by 7 inches? And if so, why? It seems like a lot of trouble for 7 inches. The sill to ridge height on the existing is 8'3", while on the proposed it's 9 feet, and it seems like a lot of work for 7 inches. And at the same time, there are no changes to the floor elevations. The front yard setback at the second floor is effectively being eliminated on a block where a deep front setback is the norm at that level. So I would need more on why this wouldn't be inconsistent with neighborhood character. So far I see that it is. Anybody else?
Sorry, go ahead.
I think they're asking for the narrow side yard consideration, so they have to show us that the individual and separate ownership.
Okay.
And also they should put a note on the plan that that bay window encroachment in the side yard should be approved at DOB. Looks a little
Which-
big.
There's a
There's a bay window
Oh,
on
the bay
first
window,
floor. Yeah.
okay. Okay. Anything else? Other comments? Okay.
Item number 2, 2016-4180BZ, 87-25, 252nd Street, Queens.
There's a slight error that I don't think matters too much in the DOB objection sheet under floor area objection. It refers to proposed coverage at 1,660 square feet instead of proposed floor area, but because they're citing to the right section, it might be okay. They are saying that the floor area doesn't comply with section da-da-da-da, but then they get into more detail, which is always a folly in these objection sheets. You should, you know. Yeah, the more you say, the more chances for error. So it says, you know, allowable and then proposed. And that's where they made the mistake, in the proposed floor area.
So correct the DOB objection.
No, I don't think it's material, that's why. Maybe council should look at it, but I don't think it's material. Yeah.
We're waiving the same, what's been waived?
Yeah, and it says floor area, and they cite the right section. They should dimension the plan to show the location of the setback line for the rear addition, and dimension the area within the body of the existing house that is beneath the lower roof line that is being added as floor area. They should verify the calculations of the total floor area being requested also, and provide an existing roof plan. Anybody else?
I just wanted to know if the front portico actually counts as floor area, and do they need our approval for that? I didn't think so. It's just like a covered entry.
Yeah.
I think it is not in the floor area.
I don't think so
On these
either.
applications in the past.
So we're just really doing the enlargement to the rear.
Yes, that's my understanding.
Oh, I thought there's a little place that's not a portico. Isn't there a little place that's on the
It's going
outside?
to depend on whether it, you know, has sides. and
Right,
roof,
right. I mean,
50%.
there should be a note on there that says.
It's just
Front
subject to
portico, subject to
DOB,
DOB.
approval, not our
There you go.
approval.
Yeah,
That's what I
Yes.
thought. But
Portico
that's,
subject to DOB.
yeah,
Yeah.
that should be the
It's a DOB
note. If we don't have
A note on that, we can answer that.
Okay.
This concludes the public review session for August 22nd, 2016.